The United States was a brand new country in the late 1700s. It had just won its independence from Great Britain. People were excited about their new nation. They were also excited about the land to the west. This land was called the Northwest Territory. It included land that is now Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Many Americans wanted to move west and start new lives. They wanted to farm the land. They wanted to build homes. They wanted to create new opportunities. The Northwest Territory seemed like the perfect place. However, there was a problem. The Northwest Territory was not empty. Many Native American tribes lived there. They had been there for centuries. They had their own cultures, languages, and ways of life. They were not going to give up their land easily. The Northwest Territory was home to many different Native American tribes. Some of the largest and most powerful tribes included the Miami, Shawnee, Lenape, Delaware, Wyandot, and Iroquois. These tribes were not always friendly with each other. They often fought over land and resources. However, they all agreed on one thing. They did not want the Americans to take their land. They had seen what happened to other tribes when Europeans arrived. They knew that the Americans would bring more settlers. They knew that the Americans would cut down the forests. They knew that the Americans would drive away the animals they needed to survive. The United States government knew that they needed to make treaties with the Native American tribes. They wanted to avoid a war. They also wanted to open up the Northwest Territory to settlement. So, they sent representatives to negotiate with the tribes. However, these negotiations often went badly. The Americans did not always treat the Native Americans with respect. They often made promises that they did not keep. They often tried to force the tribes to sign treaties that were not in their best interests. The Native Americans felt cheated and betrayed. They felt like the Americans were trying to take their land no matter what. They began to prepare for war. Section 4. Washington chooses force. George Washington was the first president of the United States. He was a great general. He wanted to avoid war with the Native Americans. He knew it would be costly. He knew it would be bloody. But he also believed that the United States had the right to expand westward. He felt that the Northwest Territory was essential for the growth and prosperity of the new nation. Washington decided that the only way to secure the Northwest Territory was to use force. He ordered the newly formed United States Army to march into the territory and subdue the Native American tribes. This decision would have far-reaching consequences. It would mark the beginning of a long and bloody conflict between the United States and the Native Americans of the Northwest. Section 5. The Northwest Indian War begins. The Northwest Indian War began in 1790. It lasted for 5 years. It was a brutal and unforgiving conflict. The United States Army was not prepared for the challenges of fighting in the wilderness. The Native Americans were skilled warriors. They knew the land. They used it to their advantage. The early years of the war were disastrous for the Americans. In 1790, General Josiah Harmar led an expedition against the Miami villages along the Maumee River. The expedition ended in defeat. The following year, General Arthur St. Clair suffered an even greater defeat at the Battle of the Wabash. It was the worst defeat in the history of the United States Army up to that point. Section 6. Disaster at the Wabash. The Battle of the Wabash took place on November 4th, 1791. It was a devastating defeat for the United States. General St. Clair's army was caught by surprise by a confederation of Native American warriors led by Miami Chief Little Turtle and Shawnee Chief Blue Jacket. The Native Americans attacked before dawn, catching the American camp entirely off guard. The American soldiers were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. They were slaughtered. Over 600 American soldiers were killed, along with another 300 wounded. The Native Americans suffered fewer than 100 casualties. It was a resounding victory for the Native Americans. It sent shockwaves through the United States. It proved that the Native Americans were a formidable enemy and would not be easily defeated. Section 7. A legacy of conflict. The Northwest Indian War finally ended in 1795 with the Treaty of Greenville. The treaty forced the Native Americans to cede most of their land in present-day Ohio to the United States. However, the war had a lasting impact on the relationship between the United States and the Native Americans. It set the stage for future conflicts. It established a pattern of American expansion and Native American resistance that would continue for generations. The Battle of the Wabash stands as a stark reminder of the cost of westward expansion. It is a story of broken promises, cultural clashes, and the human cost of war. It is a story that is often overlooked in American history, but it is a story that deserves to be remembered. What's up, everyone? Glad you tuned in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Your support means the world. Stay awesome and see you next time.